Michael Jordan and Tim Tebow have a lot in common. They were both the best to ever compete in a sport, one for basketball, one for college football. They were both athletes who transcended sports to become two of the most famous men in the world, and they were both minor league baseball players. It's finally time to answer a burning question. Who was better at baseball, Michael Jordan or Tim Tebow? We need to preface this video with 3 important notes. 1, we don't have access to some super advanced stats because neither of these two played in the big leagues. Advanced analytics on minor league players aren't as available compared to what big leaguers have to work with. 2, Jordan played just 1 full year, and Tebow played 3. However, in the case of these two, we probably saw enough to make some comparisons. 3, neither of these two were particularly good. Neither had played in a while before jumping into pro ball, but at times, it's uncomfortable to watch these two play baseball. Like how I was when I played Minecraft for the first time. Very recently, in fact.
Keep hitting it. Is your sensitivity on like 0? What, you kill it.
But let's do this. Coming up with an answer for the great baseball debate of Jordan versus Tebow. There are 3 facets of the game for position players that we're going to compare these two in. Hitting, running, and defense. Let's start with comparing their ability to do the hardest thing in sports. Hit a baseball. The fact that these two incredible athletes did not perform very well in the batter's box shows how difficult hitting really is. Before we give a case-in-point example on this, if you're unfamiliar with the baseball stat OPS, it's a player's on-base percentage plus their slugging percentage. Basically, you add up how often they get on base and how many bases they hit for per at-bat, and you get a solid idea of how good a hitter is. Michael Jordan was athletic enough to do this, but his OPS in AA was pretty close to Jacob deGrom's in 2019. A pitcher. Wait, didn't Space Jam already work as like a public service announcement for how hard it was for Michael Jordan to hit baseballs?
Slider, don't swing.
Whoa. Telling the hitter what pitch is coming? Thought we all agreed that was wrong. In terms of slugging, Tim Tebow, if he connected, could launch the baseball. But that was a big if. Jordan was not a power hitter. Tebow's biggest advantage over Jordan in baseball was how much more power he had in his bat. He definitely would have had higher exit velos than Jordan too, as he could just crush the ball when he made contact. Let's compare their numbers. Jordan's over his 1994 season in AA, Tebow's are his yearly averages between 2017 and 2019 in the Mets farm system. Tebow leads in nearly every category. The Arizona Fall League gives Jordan a little bit of help here, but it feels unfair not to say that this was Tebow's first minor league stop and Jordan's last. Each of these guys do deserve some non-statistical credit though. Michael Jordan started his minor league career with a 13-game hitting streak, even though it proved to be a bit of a fluke once pitchers started to actually throw breaking balls to him. And Jordan started out in AA just because that was the lowest level that could reasonably handle the media attention his playing baseball would get. AA is the level where you start to see past and future big leaguers all around. Like, Jordan played in the minors with 5-time All-Star Steve Sax for a few games, and faced pitchers like LaTroy Hawkins and Brad Radke, who played in the majors for a good while. And speaking of good pitchers, Tebow showed some ability against them too. I was at a spring training game where he got a hit off Michael Wacha, who was an All-Star 2 years before that. He took a pitcher named Alex Wilson deep in 2020 spring training, who had established some major league success in his career. Tebow also deserves some more credit because he homered on the first pitch he saw in AA, and in his first at-bat in official minor league baseball, and on the first pitch he saw in the instructional league. That means he basically went yard on his first in-game pitch since high school. If only we could see it.
I can't see.
Having stats like WAR, OPS+, or WRC+, would be really helpful here, but we're comparing two minor leaguers 25 years apart. We have to use more basic stats, and the eye test. And using what we've got, you've got to give a hitting edge to Tebow. The sheer difference in power and AA stats alone make that difference. Tim Tebow was not a bad AA baseball player, and he deserves some points for that. Moving on to base running, we don't really have to say it, but we will. Michael Jordan was way faster than Tim Tebow. Watch them play in their own sports and you'll get that same idea. But let's compare their base running on the baseball field. In the minors, Tebow was 5 for 9 in stolen bases across 3 years. Michael Jordan stole 30 bases in his one season of AA baseball. Granted, he only successfully stole a base 62.5% of the time, which probably means he did more harm than his team than he should have trying to steal bases, but that's still a much better rate than Tebow. We don't need to waste any more time here. Jordan clearly wins in the base running category, no doubt about it. Now we move on to fielding. Each of these guys' worst trait as a player, and neither was really good at it.
Tebow toward the line, stumbles, and can't make the catch.
In terms of range factor, they're pretty close, with Jordan having a slight edge. But here's a particularly crazy stat to compare these two defensively. Tim Tebow had 12 errors in the minor leagues across 3 seasons, 10 of those in his first year. Jordan had 11 in his 1 year of minor league baseball. Both of these guys had fielding percentages below 96%, which means they failed to make a little more than 4% of routine plays. Fielding percentage is a pretty meaningless stat more often than not, but in this case, it kinda does the trick in telling you how shaky these two were in the outfield. Jordan looked the part a lot more than Tebow in baseball, especially on defense. Tebow's routes to the ball look a lot more awkward on film, but these two performed about the same out there. It's really tough, but in terms of their defensive ability, calling it even feels fair here. Turns out Jordan's Defensive Player of the Year award in basketball didn't translate to baseball at all. So, we've compared these two incredible athletes as baseball players. We don't have a ton to go off of, but they make for closer comparisons than you'd think. Based on what we've gone over today, the fairest conclusion seems to be as follows. In terms of who performed better on the baseball field, Tim Tebow appears to be the answer, thanks in part to his noticeably better hitting stats. But who showed more talent and potential on the baseball field is probably more of an advantage to Michael Jordan. What this means is, we might not even really know who is objectively better based on the information we have at this point in time. It just depends on what you think is most important here. No matter what, we've given you the resources to make a decision yourself. These two definitely did some impressive things on the baseball field, but obviously, neither was good enough to play Major League Baseball. And that should show how difficult this game is. The greatest basketball player ever, and the greatest college football player ever, played baseball at very similar performance levels, but neither played at a level close enough to earn a big league roster spot. Maybe with more time and a little bit more luck, we could have seen one of these guys in the big leagues. Jordan's career ended because of a player strike, and people with the White Sox seem to think he would have had a shot to make it to the majors had he not gone back to basketball because of that strike. And Tebow lost all the momentum built up from his best season after a broken hand, maybe looking at a September call-up in a parallel universe if that never happened. Again, maybe, but we'll never know. We can only imagine what these two would have been like as Major League Baseball players. What we don't have to imagine are the fun and the memories these two brought to minor league baseball. But the fact of the matter is, it'll forever be fun to compare these two, and each of their times in baseball were most definitely enjoyable while they lasted. Wait, Michael Jordan was managed by Terry Francona?